Welcome to the next episode of Ask the Surveyor, the podcast that lifts the lid on everything property related. I'm your host, Lee Robinson from Ashton Surveyors, and in today's episode we're turning up the heat, quite literally, as we dive into the world of heating systems. Joining me is Daniel Dow, a trusted heating engineer from Blue 8 Gas Services, with years of experience helping homeowners and property buyers stay safe, warm and energy efficient. Thanks, Dan, for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Lee. How are you, mate?
Good. Thank you. Let's start with your early life, Dan. Have you always been in Essex, lived in Essex?
I've always lived in Essex. So I was in Doddinghurst for the first few years of my life, and then we moved to Woodham, Mortimer, Malden, and I'm now over in Southminster.
The posh part of Essex.
I'm not so sure about posh, but we're trying, mate. We're trying.
Well, it beats some of the guests we've had on previously from Tilbury and Dagenham. So, Dan, have you always wanted to be a plumber?
No, actually. I started off my career when I was 16. I cut my teeth in the print industry, and that served me well for the first few years of my working life. And then as the digital change came in and people weren't buying magazines so much, I found myself made redundant at the age of 21, not knowing what to do. I had no skills in any other part of life. And for about 6 months I did some factory job, like you do, factory job, anything to get by, and it got to the point where I wasn't satisfied anymore. What am I going to do? So then I changed my career, and I learnt to do plumbing and heating for my sins.
Right. So how did Blue 8 Gas Services start?
So Blue 8 Gas Services started about 5-6 years ago. I'd had enough working for other people and went out on my own into the big wide world, and it was slow at first. So I used to get ready for work in the morning, put my work clothes on, sit in the front room waiting for the phone to ring and trying to pitch for work. And
it's tough at the start.
It was tough at the start, but I look back now and probably the best days of my life, mate, out there grinding away and trying to make something, and it's not so bad.
Bet that smiley face got you a lot of work, a repeated custom.
I'm not
You're
sure.
a friendly guy.
I try my best. I do try my best.
So what areas do you cover?
So we cover all of Essex, all the way up to your Clactons and your Harwiches, all the way across to Harlow, and down to Southend, Romford. We will and have done. We do go to Norfolk we get asked. It's not cost effective for the customer if we go outside of Essex. But due to our skill sets, we do a lot of LPG work. That sometimes takes us to Norfolk, Suffolk. Quite often we'll go there. So I like to say we keep to Essex, but sometimes the stuff we specialise in.
In the Malden area and
predominantly
Chelmsford.
Malden, Chelmsford, surrounding areas.
Witham.
Yeah.
What services do you provide, Dan?
So we do all aspects of plumbing and heating. So if your boiler breaks down, you've got no heating or hot water, a lot of people will ring me up and they'll say, Dan, my boiler's not working. I'll go and have a look at the boiler. But actually it's not always the boiler. Sometimes it'll be in the airing cupboard. There's a lot of components in there. We can do anything and everything in the airing cupboard. We do landlord certificates for annual gas safety inspections, standard boiler servicing. We're trained to fit cookers, gas fires, hobs, that kind of thing.
So what heating systems you commonly work on?
Predominantly we're working on vented and unvented cylinders, boilers and combi boilers. We're doing a lot of combi boilers at the moment as well. So
is it only gas?
Gas and LPG is what we stick to.
Clues in the name?
Clues in the name, mate. Clues in the name.
So what inspired you to be a heating engineer and not a plumber? I know you do plumbing.
I do, but I try not to advertise it. Plumbing's our bread and butter. We do plumbing. There's no doubt about it. But I take more pleasure out of being a heating engineer. There's a little bit more thought that goes into it. Whether it's designing a new heating system, you've got a lot of thinking to do about how you're going to design it, zone it, whatever. But also with the breakdowns, that's what gets my gears going. That's what gets my brain ticking. Why is this not working? And going through the steps to put it right.
and helping families in the winter.
Absolutely, I always
freezing the house.
Yeah, it's lovely. I mean, all jokes aside, it's a lovely feeling. You're going to somebody's house, they've got no heating and hot water. Elderly people or single mums or even families. It's a lovely feeling being able to help them. So yeah, it's nice.
We've known each other for a little while now. We through networking, and as you know, I'm a surveyor. So what should buyers look for when viewing a property in terms of heating systems?
So first of all, the first thing I would always say when looking to buy a property is, has it had an annual gas safety inspection? That will highlight the main criteria, and it will, even if there's advisories, that is a warning sign for you that this might need attention. Boiler servicing is another one. So has it been regularly looked after? Your investment or whatever you're about to walk into and buy, has it been maintained? Or are you walking into, I see boilers that are 5 years, 6 years, 7 years old, not been looked after. They're on their last legs, Lee. A boiler should be lasting you 12 to 15 years. But if it's not been looked after, so I would always check to make sure the service records are up to date.
Is there any visual signs that someone can tell if a boiler or heating system is near the end of its life?
Not so much the end of its life. Obviously, the obvious signs of leakage. But one thing I would say, a sure sign, in the trade we call it signs of spillage. And what that will look like is dirty marks, a bit like smoky marks up the wall. That's really dangerous. That's telling you that your boiler it's not just inefficient, but that is dangerous.
And also they could take a picture of the model and research it, see how old it is.
Absolutely, yep. Serial number, which is normally at the bottom or on a sticker at the front. You can take a picture of that, send that to the manufacturer if it hasn't got a date on it, and they'll be able to tell you how old that is.
Is it true that older the boiler, harder it is to get the parts, the replacement parts?
Absolutely it is. Some of the boilers that we've still got on our books, they're ticking along, and they're probably as old as me, if not a little bit older. They're still ticking along because they're well looked after, but it is hard to get.
They last 30 years then?
So the old ones do. They're built well, but yes, some parts are obsolete. And at that point, you're probably forced into a corner where you're going to need to upgrade that.
Yeah, I mean, as the advice we give, the older the boiler, the less efficient it is. We still see back boilers.
Yeah, we've still got a lot of back boilers on our books. I'll be honest, I love a back boiler. Would I have one in my own house? Probably not. They're not efficient. They're not easy on the pocket by a long shot. The parts are getting harder and harder to get hold of. We can still get some parts for back boilers, but they're getting harder and harder. The reason that they're still working, though, is because they are built solid. They're British engineered, they're made to last, they're cast iron. The only trouble is when it comes to taking them out, you need 3 bodies to lift them out, Lee. These new boilers we fit, the apprentice picks them up, puts them straight up, and they're just... A
16-year-old apprentice could lift one.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's a different era, but no, they are built well, but they come with their problems as well. You need, with a back boiler, you need ventilation built into the walls. Of course, trying to keep your house warm when you've got an air brick or ventilation grates in your wall, it's a bit nippy. And those more than most require servicing because they're the ones that will set off carbon monoxide alarms, and they can be tricky. Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. No one should be blocking up any ventilation for gas or for condensation issues. It certainly really is. I see it all the time. It's dangerous.
Me too.
So, talking about old boilers, what about new boilers? What guarantees are they giving now?
So
warranties.
Standard, we fit boilers with 10-year warranties now. 10 and 12 years is pretty much our go-tos, 10 years or 12 years, although we do fit boilers with up to 18 years warranty. As long as you have them serviced every year, then that's kind of... and they're energy A rated, so they're condensing, they're efficient on your pocket. You can have a non-efficient boiler that's running well, but a lot of people are looking at the cost of running their homes now, and A-rated energy appliances are really the way to go.
So what has the owner got? What's the homeowner? What's a homeowner got to do to maintain the warranty?
To maintain the warranty, you just need to have the boiler serviced within a 12-month period. As soon as you lapse that 12-month period, Yes, the boiler will still be working, but the manufacturers will stand away from the warranty. So as long as the boiler is serviced within a 12-month period by a gas safe registered engineer, your warranty's in check, and away you go.
So we just touched on boilers and warranties. For the viewers that got no experience with boilers, what different types are there? We mentioned a back boiler.
Okay, so a back boiler, they're the old style of boilers. They're the kind of boilers you'd have had growing up as a kid, or your nan and granddad would have had as a kid. So they're built behind a fireplace. They require ventilation in the walls to let the boiler breathe. They're old technology. They're good technology, but they're old. But they're a back boiler. You will always find in the name. They're back behind the fireplace. So you have a back boiler that's behind the fire. You then have the flues behind the fire that normally go all the way up through the chimneys.
And you'd have a gas flue on top of the chimney?
Yes, you would, yeah. So you'd have the flue going all the way up.
So we know them as gas fire-fronted boilers in fireplaces.
Yep.
And then you've got the modern boilers.
You do. So after your back boilers, you will then have your older style, non-condensing standard boilers. A standard boiler is what you'd have normally in a kitchen or somewhere like that. You'd then have a cylinder up in the airing cupboard, which is then joined to 2 tanks up in the loft. That was the next step after the back boiler. And they're reasonable, they're still out there and they run well.
So they are a heating boiler?
They're a heating boiler for your heating and your hot water, but they have the 2 tanks, one for your cold storage and then your small heating water tank up in the loft, which you probably see, Lee, if you're out doing your work, you're up in the loft, you see them 2 tanks. That's what they're for. Still old technology, but the next step from a back boiler.
And the next one was the combi boiler.
The combi boilers and the condensing boilers, they're the ones, if it condenses, they're the ones that achieve that A energy rating. How
can you tell a condensing boiler to an old standard boiler?
The easiest way of telling is underneath the boiler you'd have a white plastic pipe. It won't be in copper, it'll be in plastic. That is your condensing boiler. They're normally energy A rated. They're the ones that people are having now fitted. You're replacing all these old pieces of equipment with your condensing boilers. Whether it's a combi or a system boiler, they still condense. So it doesn't always have to be a combi to achieve that status.
Is technology moved on from a condensing boiler yet?
You could argue that technology has moved on in the shape of a heat pump. That's not something we're really interested in. Unfortunately, we've taken probably half a dozen heat pumps out where they've not been fitted correctly, and it's still a bit of a grey area out there with the heat pumps at the moment. The efficiency, and obviously they run off electric and they're greener. But it's a different, again, moving with the times.
Gas boilers, we're still on the combis.
We're on the combis and the condensing boilers, yeah.
Tanks are improved because with the unvented tanks, they're a lot better, aren't they?
Much better. So with the unvented, when you have an unvented, you're losing the 2 tanks up in the loft. Everybody wants to get water out of the loft, because when things go wrong, they go horribly wrong. Also, when you have an unvented cylinder, you're losing the tanks, and upstairs, those tanks, they get really dirty because they're open to the elements of the air. They get sludgy and dirty, whereas a sealed system on an unvented tank, much better. They are
like I've got.
Yeah, like you and I.
My shower is amazing. Before, the old gravity fed system,
yes,
it took me half an hour to rinse the soap off. I mean, there's a lot to rinse off, but So let's get back to the faults of boilers. What are common faults, and why? What faults should they be calling you out?
Okay, so very standard generic phone calls that I will get. Daniel, my heating's not working. That will be normally down to, really 3 key areas that I'll be looking for if you call me and say your heating or your hot water is not working. Until I turn up on my radar, I'll be thinking about components inside the boiler. There's a vast array of components within the case of the boiler. We'll go in there, we'll test that. The second port of call, if you've got an unvented cylinder, a lot of the time, Lee, customers think that their boiler's not working when actually it's just some kind of parameters or controls up in the airing cupboard. 2-port valve, a 3-port valve, a pump not working. Any of these things in the airing cupboard won't trigger the boiler to run. So although you would think it's the boiler not working, actually it's going to be upstairs in the airing cupboard. And the third one, we don't see too much of it, but it's a lot of it's out there, is system being dirty and neglected and blocked up with soot, and then we will power flush that to clean it out.
So that's one of the obvious things to call you out when your heating stops.
Yeah.
Right, and what happens, or what should happen if you... So that's the common thing, is to call you out when the heating system is not working. But on the boiler, there's a pressure gauge. If that's low, what does that mean, and what should they do?
That's a great question, Lee, and I'm a big believer in trying to save people money. So you don't need to be, I mean, I'm happy to help, but you don't need to be giving me a phone call if your pressure gauge has dropped low, because you don't need to be paying a call out for someone to top up your pressure gauge. That is a tool for the customer to be able to do themselves. It's normal once a year or so for the pressure to drop. There'll be 2 ways you do it. One will be, most new boilers now, there is a filling loop underneath the boiler. Depending on what make and model of boiler you've got, you can Google it or you can have a YouTube video. It's very simple, but you just let the water in on a key or on a switch, and then or a lever, and then you just dial it back. If you've got an unvented cylinder in an airing cupboard,
so they may need a filling loop, will they?
They will all have filling loops as standard. But it will either be under the boiler, or if you've got a system boiler, it will be a braided hose with 2 switches, and you just top it up, see it go to 1 bar, turn it back off.
Good old YouTube.
Good old YouTube. You can't knock a bit of YouTube.
If they're nervous, obviously call Blue.
Absolutely.
Gas services.
Absolutely. You know, we have a lot of elderly customers. We've actually got a lovely couple, a blind couple, a very, very partially sighted blind couple. They've given me a call a few times. We go out there, we'll top it up for them. I'll always try and help you over the phone. You know, it's a very simple thing to top up your pressure. I'll always try and help people over the phone, but ultimately, if you need us to go out for any reason, we're always a phone call away.
Give Dan a shout.
Always give me a shout. Give me a shout.
So, what is the cause of the pressure to go down? Could it be a leak?
It can be a leak, so that is always on my radar. If it's just happened once, you know, if you ring me up or if I go there and I'm topping up the pressure, it's normal, and it's just, you know, the change in temperatures from heating and cooling. You know, it can drop a little bit.
Evaporation.
If you top it up and within a week or less, within a week or 2, it's dropped again, I'm then looking at, why is this water that we're putting in, this pressure that we're putting in, where is it going? It can be a leak, or it can be a component in the heating system. Sometimes you have expansion vessels. If they're not charged up, like your one was a month or 2 ago, Lee, wasn't charged up. I've got a leak coming out the side of the roof. That pressure the pressure's coming out from there. If you're losing pressure, it's got to come out from somewhere. And that's where we step in.
So another fault is if the condensing boiler, condensing pipe, will there be water ever coming out of that? Or is it...
And the pressure relief valve out the back of the boiler. A condensing pipe, that's not losing pressure, because that's just condensation from where the boiler's working. So if the boiler's running, it's normal for the condensing pipe for water to run. That won't lose pressure.
So the common faults are to call yourself... Heating doesn't work, obviously.
Yep.
Pressure's down, and you've...
Unsure how to fill it down.
Give Dan a shout. And losing water through the...
If you're losing water from anywhere, give me a shout. If you can see water...
What other visual signs on the boiler people should be aware about?
Right, okay, so that's a great question, Lee. So first and foremost, do not touch it. But quite often, if you look underneath the boiler or on any components of the heating system, if you see it, we're in a very hard water area. If you see crustiness around it, don't ever try and clean it off, because you can cause yourself an issue. But if you see all crusty marks all around your boiler where it's probably been leaking or weeping and it's sealed itself a bit, that tells me it probably needs a little bit of attention. But I would never try and clean it off, because that debris might just be stopping it from water coming out. but they're good signs to look for. Green pipes where it's been soldered and the flux hasn't been cleaned off. If your pipes are all green, that's probably corroding and eating the pipes away. As well as leaks, if it's quite often on radiators, I'll get called out to a radiator that's leaking, and they've put it on the back burner because it's just been slightly weeping over a long duration of time. You should be acting on these things quick. I know it might only be a slight drip now and again, but that will corrode the pipe. And then if you call me quickly, I'll just be able to change the valves or fix the issue. If you leave it for a long period of time, it will corrode the pipe, and then all of a sudden I need to take your floors up, repipe it all, and preventative maintenance, I think, is what you would probably call that.
Yeah, preventative measures when you install pipes in Screed. I've seen lots of pipes and leaks caused by where they haven't got Hessian and the lime and reacts with the solder
on all our installs now. If it goes in, if the pipes are going in the wall or they're going in the floor, we felt lag them as standard, or sleeve them. If their pipes going through the wall, we'll always sleeve them with the same metal. And that's just so that we don't want to be getting phone calls in a couple of years' time that we've got to take all your brand new floor
chopping up Screed.
No,
trying to find a leak.
But obviously all of these things are added work and an added cost, and I'm a big believer in doing the job right, properly, and once.
What's the visual sign so you can tell if they've got a leak? Is it like the greenness of the copper?
Yeah, so that will just be where it's corroding. You've still got time. You can sometimes clean it up.
If you see like a green stain around your fittings,
then it's being corroded. Where it hasn't been cleaned properly, the flux has just continued to eat away at it. You should always clean it up when you're finished. Whenever we install pipes, as soon as we've installed them and they're done, we clean them up, because that process of soldering when we use flux is acid. It's highly corrosive, and when you don't clean it off properly, it will just eat away at the pipes.
I don't see many issues with boilers that are well maintained. So if they're maintained every year, you'll see the problems early, won't you? You'll pick them up.
Absolutely, Lee. So I always try and encourage my customers to get their boiler serviced in the summer. It's a difficult one because people will turn their boilers on, September, October time. We are, as engineers, we are chocker busy that time of year. If you ring me, you're probably going to have to wait maybe a day or two. Not everyone wants to wait. Giving me a call in the summer and having your boiler serviced in the summer, it's a double-edged sword, really. One, the boiler might have been off for a couple of months. When we're servicing it, we're turning it on, we're getting all the components moving again. Where they've been off for a few months, we're re-energising the system, getting it all up and moving. That helps to stop things seizing. But two, if I come to your house and your boiler has got an issue that we need to address, what better time of year to have your boiler off for 2 days when we're waiting for a part than in the middle of summer? In the middle of winter, you don't want to wait for 2 days.
So before the winter, September, early autumn.
Yep.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, give me a call, and we'll give Dan a shout. That's it.
We like that. So Dan, what models of boilers do you recommend? What in your experience, what models last?
Okay.
You see less faults on them.
The boilers that we fit, and we love them, we're accredited by them. I've got one in my own home. Is Ideal boilers. The reason being is the brand Ideal. They are they're not cheap. They're not cheap boilers by a long shot, but they're not expensive. But they are well made. When you look at a boiler, or a customer looks at a boiler, it's just a box on the wall, and that's all it is. When I take that cover off, what's inside is what's important to me. Ideal boilers, they're very well made, which is half of it, but the other half is that they're very easy to service. Their parts are readily available. We stock a lot of the parts on the van anyway, but having a boiler that is easy to service is just as good as having a good boiler. If you've got a great boiler, I won't mention the brands, but if you've got a great boiler with loads of warranty, but it's very difficult to service, you kind of, it doesn't matter what you've got. If it's hard to service, then or
what do you mean by hard to service?
Well, a lot of the components in one brand in particular, they're very tricky to get to. They're built very strangely. And if you've got, don't just have to use us, there's a lot of plumbing and heating companies that will service your boiler for you. But if you get called out to a boiler and it's very hard to service, you can't guarantee that all the other engineers are going to know how to service that boiler properly. Ideal are great. Also, what I like about Ideal is that their customer service is second to none. It's all well and good me coming to your house, installing your brand new boiler, but as soon as I walk out the door in a year's time and you have a warranty fault or something, Ideal, you can ring them up. Normally within the next day they're there, and they kind of stand for the same morals and principles that I have, me and my company. They're great. And as I say, I have one in my own home, so I think that speaks volumes.
Dan, can homeowners service their own boiler?
Absolutely not, Lee. So some of the equipment and tools that we have got as gas engineers, they cost a lot of money to buy. We have to have them calibrated yearly. A generic domestic customer will not have the equipment to even legally take their own case off the boiler. As soon as you take a case off a boiler, when you pull it back on, you need to check that it's safe and that the carbon monoxide isn't coming into your home. That is not something that domestic, as handy as you are, no handyman is going to be able to.
So you've got to be qualified, gas safe,
and you've got to have the right equipment to be able to check it,
test it.
Yep. As I say, all our components are calibrated every year to make sure we're testing.
The potential dangers are
horrific.
Definitely
deadly.
Carbon monoxide.
That's the biggest one for us. Carbon monoxide, the silent killer, as they call it.
Yeah, and even explosions.
Explosions is another one. Yep.
So you advise no one to even touch a boiler, to even take the casing off?
No, I think customers should be doing no more than turning the power off the electric. You think you've got any issues, or if your carbon monoxide alarm's going off, you turn off the power to the boiler, open some windows for ventilation.
Hence why you're highly trained and regulated by Gas Safe.
Absolutely.
Because it is an absolute...
a deadly industry.
Yeah. Okay. So can you explain to the watchers what carbon monoxide is?
Carbon monoxide is a byproduct of burning the gas. So when a gas is being burnt, it's a byproduct, a bit like an exhaust through your car. If you're burning petrol, carbon monoxide is coming out the exhaust.
So it's a poisonous gas?
Absolutely, it's a deadly gas.
Yeah.
You can't smell it, you can't taste it, and you can't see it.
You just wake up dead, basically.
You don't wake up dead, mate, but you do end up dead.
So what are the safe things that homeowners can do to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning? What we've already touched on, servicing boilers. Servicing
boilers will highlight any issues, Lee, but the biggest thing that you can do for yourself and for your family is invest in a carbon monoxide alarm. They'll have a date on the back of them when they expire, but for the price of a coffee or two a week, or a takeaway on a Saturday, for that price you can protect your home and your family from carbon monoxide by buying a carbon monoxide alarm. A bit like a smoke alarm. If it senses anything, the alarm will go off.
And can homeowners fit them themselves?
No, not really. I mean, it's better than nothing, but really they can fit them themselves, but we always encourage people to get us to do it, just so that it's in the right place, because they should be within a certain distance to gas supplies, away from doors and windows and that kind of thing. But anything is better than nothing. But that will be the best thing that you will buy for your family.
Dan, I've got a referral for you. Can you fit one on my home?
Absolutely.
Thank you. It's still sitting in a box.
Oh dear.
That's the worst thing it could be. So I bought one but never fitted it.
We'll see what we can do.
That's good, because I was just going to go and fit it next to the boiler. So, and the boiler's near a window, so I would have fit it in the wrong place. So take advice from yourselves. If in doubt, give Dan a shout.
Give Dan a shout. Give him a shout.
Dan, if the customer has a carbon monoxide alarm and it does go off, what should they do?
Okay, so the first thing that they should do is go to their gas meter, turn off the gas. The ECV is the handle, turn that down to off. Open all doors and windows in the property, all throughout. Open the doors and windows, get out of the house and call the phone number that is on the front of the gas meter, 0800 111 999. Cadent, or the gas emergency service provider, will come out. They will do a thorough check of your property to make sure you are safe. If an issue is highlighted, at that point you get in touch with me and we will remedy that for you. So just to clarify, Lee, you turn the gas off, you open all doors and windows, you get out of the house, call the gas service provider.
And they will come out and see where the fault is.
They will come out, they will see where the fault is, they will leave you safe, and then if there's issues to be fixed, you then give us a call, we then put it right for you.
As this is a surveying podcast, house purchasing, what can potential buyers look for?
So potential buyers has already covered making sure they've got gas safety inspections that are up to date on their property. I know, speaking from experience, Lee, whenever me and the better half have gone out and bought houses, Abby, whenever we've gone and bought houses, she'll be looking at the colour of the wallpaper, the new carpets. I look for the stock
chandeliers.
The chandeliers, that's it, the east wing and the west wing. I'm looking for, is there any weeps, drips under the boiler? Do I know where my fuse box is in my house? Do I know where my stopcock is? They're the things that I'm interested in. The colour of the tiles in the 8th bathroom. I'm not so interested in that. I'm looking for the important stuff.
Yeah. Stopcock is important, actually, because sometimes I don't even find it.
But when you need it, you wish you knew where it was.
Yeah. I ask the homeowners, sometimes they don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we go to a lot of properties, as I'm sure you can appreciate, we need to turn the water off. A lot of people don't know where it is, and I will spend time trying to find it. Ultimately, if you can't find it, your next port of call would be, where is your water meter? Normally out in the street.
Yeah.
If you can't turn your water off indoors, you can turn it off in the street.
Because we find it's under kitchen floors and all sorts of things like that.
Kitchen fitters have blocked them in, or they've been built over.
Other trades. Messing with your stuff, Dan. Dan, I think we've covered everything. Boilers and safety is the most biggest thing. You don't want people waking up dead.
Yeah.
But radiators, what issues do you have with radiators? We just touched on valves, leaking valves.
Yep, leaking valves is a big one for us. TRVs at the bottom, slightly weeping, or the air vents at the top. If you look at the side of a radiator, you'll see where you bleed it. Quite often a giveaway sign is staining running down the side. Sometimes them little joints need to be addressed. Is my radiator isn't getting warm anymore? That's quite a common one we get. Whether it's just one radiator or a couple, sometimes it'll be a twofold thing really. We can either balance them, so the radiator nearest the boiler or the cylinder, that will be the first one to get hot. If the valves are wide open and you're getting all the heat to that radiator, the one down the bottom of the line might not be getting warm, so we can dial radiators down. We've got a thermal imaging camera, Lee, that we can shine the laser on the radiator. That will give us the temperature. We can sometimes steal a little bit of heat off that one. We can dial him down and we can put that heat that you was stealing into the next radiator.
So balancing.
Yeah, balancing. Yeah, that's it. Balancing the radiators.
So do you recommend TRV valves?
Absolutely. We do recommend TRV valves. We fit a lot of them on new installs now. We don't give you the option that you're getting TRVs. They do a lot of different TRVs on the market as well, Lee. I mean, we've been fitting TRVs for years. They now do these smart ones, like Hive ones that connect to your phone, and the industry is always changing.
What is TRV?
A thermostatic radiator valve. That's what TRV is, mate. Nearly got me. But yeah, so traditionally you would just have two little white caps. A TRV is a bit bulkier. They're normally the consumer side, I like to call them. They're the ones that you can adjust as a homeowner to suit your lifestyle. But they're all in the aid of efficiency and trying to bring your bills down a little bit.
Yeah, so if you've got any spare bedrooms not being used, you can
turn them off or turn them on to one to stop a bit of condensation.
Yeah, or that room's too hot, you turn it down.
Exactly, yeah, and it doesn't impact the rest of the living area and where you want to keep warm. You can just dial them all down.
So a common problem with radiators is that you get cold spots at the top,
yes,
and hot at the bottom, and vice versa.
Yes.
What causes this?
So if you've got cold spots at the top of your radiator, there'll be a bleed on the side. You can just undo with a key. Just undo it. Let a little bit of air out. That then allows the hot water to go and heat that bit of the radiator. That will take away the cold spots. If you've got cold spots at the bottom of the radiator, that's a little bit more serious. That's normally a dirty system where sludge has built up. The sludge at first, it starts like a sediment, but over time that sediment will solidify and when it goes hard at the bottom of your radiators, that then suggests you're probably going to need a power flush to clear all that debris out of your heating system. So if it's cold at the top.
And what is a power flush?
A power flush, so we invested a few years ago in a state-of-the-art power flush machine which heats chemicals, pushes it all around the system, so it will clean all the dirt and the debris out of your heating system. And the chemicals, I mean, they're quite corrosive, but the chemicals going through the system, they clean all the debris out of your radiators and your heating system.
So if it's cold at the top, it can be a simple airlock issue that we can bleed.
Yep.
If it's cold at the bottom, it can be more serious and probably power flushing.
I would think so.
Going back to boilers, Dan, when should a homeowner consider replacing a boiler?
I would always tell a customer, and I speak from I've got a young family, Lee. I'm a family man, and it gets to a point for me. I'm tight, as you know, mate. I'm tight. I don't like spending any money, do I? But there gets to a point when a customer will be throwing more and more money at their boiler, trying to get it running again. You call me out, I put a part in. You call me out, I put a part in. Another part. There gets to a point where you should think to yourself, do we cut our losses here? You know, this is a money pit. That's the phrase I always use, a money pit. When your boiler's starting to turn into a money pit, that's when you should probably think about it.
Well, it's not economical.
That's it.
So if you're changing parts every year, consider changing it.
Yeah,
because then it's got, if you have it serviced every year,
it's got a 10, 12, however long warranty you decide to go for. There's a good chance it's going to be more efficient, so that's going to bring your bills down, and you know that you've got a more modern, safe job.
Dan, what is the most common mistake homeowners make with their heating systems?
The most common mistake that I see with customers' heating systems, I'll tell you what was a very easy, but a very common one is we'll get through the summer and we'll get into the colder snap. Customers will be telling me my radiators aren't working. So on the phone, I'm thinking, it could be this, it could be that, and I'm getting right into the nitty gritty and the depths of what it could be. I can turn up on a job and the husband has been around in the summer and he's turned all the TRVs to 0. That's a very common, very, very common, and something that you can do yourself. Very common. My radiator isn't working. Turn the dial on.
So the first thing to do is check if it's on 0.
Yep, if it's on the little snowflake symbol. If it's on a little snowflake symbol, that's turn that up and you'll be amazed at what you can achieve.
So Dan, the most important thing from this podcast is safety and the preventive measures.
Absolutely, Lee. Safety is paramount to everything that we do. Safety is paramount. But with regards to preventative maintenance, more in particular, we find our demographic of customers, it's the younger generation that tend not to have their boilers serviced and preventative maintenance. It's the older generation, because they know they've learnt the hard way. They've neglected their equipment, and they've learnt the hard way. It's the younger generation that tend to let these things go by. My advice, especially to first-time buyers, because they're spending a lot of money on their deposits and their new sofas, but they might have a really good boiler that they've just bought as part of their home package, and what a waste that is to let the warranty slip or not to maintain their investment.
So good advice would be, mums and dads, ensure that your children who have moved into their own homes are following this advice, because we do find that advice isn't passed down the generations as it used to.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. Dan, tell us some shocking things you've seen with
some horror stories.
Some horror stories.
There's
drama. Come on, tell us some drama.
The best one that comes to mind. So we went to install about 2 years ago. It don't feel that long ago. About 2 years ago, we went to a lovely man went to a customer's house, and he said, "Look, I've got an old heating system. It's time to chop it in. We're going to have something new here." So I said, "Yeah, all right. What we're going to have? We're going to change this system to a pressurised system." But what I haven't told you, Lee, is that this fella was, I won't mention names, a bit of a handyman by all accounts. So I've gone up in the loft. We've got the new boiler. Me and the boys putting the boiler up in the loft. We're going to pressurise the system. We've gone up in the loft. There's a lot of plumbing-related equipment, paraphernalia up in the loft. So I'm thinking, this fella is quite handy. So we've fitted the boiler. We've turned it on. Downstairs, fittings popped off. Bang! Massive noise, loads of water. We've gone downstairs, had a look. A little bit of his handyman work. So we've put it all right. Drained it down, put it right. Connected back up. Filled up the system again. You already know what's coming, don't you? Bang! Downstairs under the floorboard. It turned out he'd been using this plastic push fit, but he hadn't been putting the inserts in the fittings, and he's just his whole house was full of it. So that was always one I look fondly on.
So did you have to replace every joint? We
ended up going through most of the house, floorboards up, just because it couldn't handle his work, bless him. But I like a tryer.
Was this running before, or was he pre-plumbed it?
This was running before, but because the system was running at a very low pressure, it was just trickling through, and he got away with it. But as soon as we pressurised it, my goodness, like a little paddling pool in his front room it was.
The DIYers,
that's it, bless them.
Yeah.
YouTube's got a lot to answer for.
Metal inserts.
They are, very.
So have you gone to any properties that are really dangerous and you've thought, wow, how is this house not blown up?
Yeah, so obviously that last job, that's a bit tongue-in-cheek. We can have a laugh from it and we can move on. But like I mentioned earlier, safety is paramount. It's what we stand by. We've been to some jobs where, very, very sad actually, we've been to some jobs. I got called out only about 6 months ago. I got called out, a young lady had given me a phone call. Daniel, my gas has been cut off, can you come and turn it back on? I said, of course, we're qualified, we'll come and turn your gas on. I've turned up, I've walked in, I said, is this your home? She said, no, it's my mum and dad's. Where are they? Well, they're both in hospital. I said, I'm really sorry, I didn't want to pry, I'm really sorry to hear that. I said, why has the gas been cut off? Oh, Cadent, the emergency services, they came and cut it off. I said, okay, why? She's handed me a piece of paper, looked through the piece of paper, the boiler, the flue's not been connected, and it's just chucking carbon monoxide and the fumes all into the home. Very nearly, God bless them, very nearly killed the mum and dad. Unfortunately, I can't turn that back on for you, I'm afraid. That all needs to be fixed before we can turn the gas back on. Hadn't been looked at for a long time. For whatever reason, the fluid worked loose. And as a result of that, put her lovely mum and dad in hospital. Very nearly killed. They're still here,
wow.
But yeah, very sad. It is very sad. You know, these things are becoming less and less in the world now, Lee. But it still happens. It still happens far too much. Any death in the industry is one death too much.
Yeah, and deaths, a lot learn from deaths, so I suppose boiler flue technology is better and the fixings is better,
yes.
But it still goes back to, you got to have your boiler service, not just for the longevity of the boiler, but for safety.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound harsh, but I don't care how warm or how cold you are or how hot your water is. What I care about is you being left safe. These other things are a luxury, you know, heating, hot water, it's a luxury, but your safety, there's no movement on that. You have to be left safe.
There's no luxury in being dead, is there?
Not really, no.
I've got a little story about gas safety, that my partner at the time, her good friend advised to get he was a property developer and he had a guy fitting boilers, but he wasn't gas safe. This was about 20 years ago. So he fitted this boiler. So you trusted the guy's advice because he was a well-to-do man. So this guy came round and once he fitted it all, he tested the gas joints with a lighter. And I was decorating. So it must have been 30 years ago. It was when I had a little building company. And I was decorating in the kitchen. Why? He was doing it. And he tested it with a gas lighter. And the fierce, like, it come out, the flame, like that. And he's turned off the gas. And he really, this guy panicked.
I'm sure he did, wouldn't you?
But but it was like, he didn't expect it, so you can see he wasn't experienced. But it was so close, but luckily the gas meter was quite close and just turned off the gas.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
The trouble is, when fire's coming out of the pipe, the meter's not close enough, is it? You want to turn it off straight away.
That boiler was stripped out and it was fitted correctly.
I'm sure, in this day and age.
Because what, and this is what I'm going to lead to, is my partner at the time, she didn't know what regulations they should be checking, and to see if they was gas safe registered. 100%. So what advice can you give if it's not yourself?
Even if it is myself,
you're only Essex based, but to other counties,
as a customer, whether it's a small job like a boiler service, or can you fit me a new cooker, or anything. If you're asking a gas safe registered, or what you think to be a gas safe registered engineer to come into your home, ask to see their credentials, ask to see their card. If they should always carry, like I do, in my wallet, or you can go on. A lot of people have mobile phones now. You can go on the internet, go onto the gas safe register, go and have a look at the company. Are these people accredited? Are they tested every year? Is all their equipment up to date? Are they qualified to do the jobs that they say that they're doing?
So the easiest thing they can do is to see if they're gas safe registered.
Gas safe registered by either going online or checking their card.
On the gas safe register, and they type in
the company name or the engineer's name, and it will come up what they can do, what they can't do. But
is it a yearly thing that you have to?
Every year, yeah. We pay a lot of money for me and my staff to be on that gas safe register. It's not just the financial impact, but we undergo a lot of training, Lee. Every year, every couple of years, we're going on different courses. We're keeping update with the times. All going back to keeping you safe. When I walk out the door, me and my engineers, you're left safe.
So go back to safety again. If you're going to employ someone to service your boiler or fix your boiler, make sure they are on the gas safe register. So Dan, how can customers get hold of you?
So the easiest way to get hold of us is by giving us a phone call. You can reach us on 077 1214 2550. You can reach out to us on Facebook at Blue 8 Gas Services, or on our website at blue8gasservices.com. www.blue8gasservices.com.
So I think that wraps up this episode. But so the biggest outtake from it is safety and having your boiler serviced. As we do surveys, we only can check the visuals, so it's important to get people like Dan in to take the boiler covers off and really check the components of a boiler so you are all safe. A huge thanks to Daniel Dow from Blue 8 Gas Services for sharing his expert knowledge and helping us all stay safer and smarter with our heating. If you're buying a home or just trying to avoid heating disasters this winter, I hope today's chat gave you something to think about. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with anyone who could use a warm tip or two. I'm Lee from Ashton Surveyors. Thanks for tuning in and see you next time.